3rd December is a well-known date for us Indian Catholics, for it is the feast of a well-known saint, Saint Francis Xavier. It is right and fitting to begin this day with a thought of this great saint. It is impossible to find a saint who did not take the two P's seriously, prayer and penance. Saint Francis Xavier was a pioneer of Catholic missions in Eastern Asia, known as the Apostle of the East Indies. He has been acclaimed as one of the greatest missionaries in history. The great missionary Saint Francis Xavier was born a Basque noble family, like his beloved mentor Saint Ignatius Loyola. When Francis met Ignatius in Paris, he was a proud, autocratic, ambitious man wanting to accomplish great deeds in the world. For 3 years, Ignatius patiently encouraged Francis to look at his life differently. What profits a man, Ignatius asked Francis, if he gains the whole world and loses his soul? Francis Xavier was ordained in 1537. In 1541, King John of Portugal asked Ignatius for priests to send to the missions in India. Despite knowing he would never see his beloved companion again, Ignatius chose Francis Xavier for the mission. Francis left for India, arriving at the city of Goa in 1542. For the next 10 years, the missionary Francis Xavier travelled from Goa to Cape, Comorin in South India, then to the East Indies, Malacca and Moluccas, and onward to Japan. It was Francis Xavier's great ambition to get permission to enter China as a missionary. He died in 1552, exhausted from his labors and fasts, on a small island off the coast of China with a single companion at his side. Saint Francis Xavier's great ambition was to bring the whole world to Jesus Christ. Armed only with his breviary and a book of meditations, Francis preached the gospel to the poor and sick, spending most of his time ministering to their needs. His nights were taken up in prayer. His only attention to his personal needs was to have a pair of boots. He barely ate enough to stay alive. As the missionary Francis Xavier moved on, he left behind flourishing churches that were the foundations for the Catholic faith in Asia. His remains are enshrined in the Church of Good Jesus in Goa. He and Saint Therese of Lisieux were declared co-patrons of the missions in 1925. The Gospel of Matthew invites us to go and preach to all nations. Our preaching need not be necessarily on distant shores, but to our families, our children, our husband or wife, our co-workers. And we are called to preach not with words, but by our everyday lives. Only by sacrifice, the giving up of all selfish gain, could Francis Xavier be free to bear the good news to the world. Sacrifice is leaving oneself behind at times for a greater good, the good of prayer, the good of helping someone in need, the good of just listening to another. The greatest gift we have is our time. Francis Xavier gave his to others. Shall we too give it to do good to others?